Dallas. Greg Gumbel saying so long. Let's get you to New York and James Brown.
All right, Greg, we'll take you to the final 13 seconds of the matchup between Denver and Kansas City. Denver trailing by 7 with, again, 13 seconds left. Let's join the announcers there, Kevin Harlan, Rich Gannon, and Steve Tasker.
CBS Sports presents the Geico Play of the Day.
The Chiefs have been racing to the record books this season. The creative Patrick Mahomes comes up with a little shovel pass to Kareem Hunt, who then performs his own wizardry, leaping right over safety Will Parks, barreling his way to the end zone, a 23-yard touchdown, and another of leap of faith for the Red Hot Chiefs.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. This is the State Farm Post-Game Show.
And welcome back inside Studio 43 and the State Farm Post-Game Show. A reminder, up next on CBS, it is the CBS Sports Spectacular, Geico's 10 Greatest Golf's Drivers, counting down the 10 best drivers in PGA Tour history as voted on by the fans. That's coming up next right here on CBS as we welcome you back inside Studio 43, a full house here, and we take you right to the highlights.
All right, the aerial circus known as the Kansas City Chiefs offense got off to a slow start, but Patrick Mahomes, 24-34, 303 yards, 4 TDs. Guys, that's 7 games in a row now, 300-plus yards passing. He also has 4 games where he's thrown for over 300 and at least 4 touchdowns in a game. The Chiefs are going to win this game 30-23. A gritty second half by the Denver Broncos keeps it somewhat close, and Patrick Mahomes just continues his stellar plays. You can see the scoreboard right here. Take a look at some of these numbers. And after this game, the Chiefs have to go to the Browns, and then they play the Cardinals, and then there's that showdown Monday night in Mexico City against the Rams. So they're 7-1, and I would think, Coach, that they're going to get to 9-1.
Yeah, and I think when you look at this team, we talked about all the weapons, and we didn't even talk about Sammy Watkins, and all of a sudden now Sammy Watkins steps into the picture. And, you know, again, you look at this team, I mean, they lost Anthony Hitchens on the defensive side of the ball, and that was a big loss. But even the defense, you talked about this, Phil, in the pregame, how much better they play at home in Kansas City, and again, they were a factor today. A very good outing for the Kansas City Chiefs.
And before we do that, we're going to keep you talking because we've got an instant update involving Tampa Bay.
And
Fitzmagic!
He came in for Jameis Winston, and here he is, a touchdown with a minute to go to get him within 2, and then all of a sudden a 2-point conversion right here. Yes, it's back. It's called Fitzmagic, baby. Here we go in Cincinnati once again. The excitement is back in there. You can see Fitzpatrick came back into the fourth quarter when Jameis Winston, after throwing his 4th interception, has got 2 touchdowns. And right now, it is a minute left to go in that game.
Do you believe in magic?
Oh, my God.
It's unbelievable. But Patrick Mahomes, guys, is just absolutely scintillating, and he is right now got to be the odds-on favorite for MVP of the NFL. The great thing about him, and I think we'll probably hear from him a little bit later on after the game, you know, how humble he is about what's going on around him. And all I can tell you is I think Rich Gannon was talking about it during their game. I know we talked about it. We have talked about it since I think the season started about this kid, just how calm and how poised he is.
Yeah, he was brought up to be that way. Great baseball player. His dad's a baseball player. We know it, so he's been around the game a long time. When you got that kind of talent, I'd be calm and confident too. But here he is, throwing to Sammy Watkins, just a strike over the middle. He makes every throw look so easy. Nice touch on the underneath throw to, again, Sammy Watkins. Now you know why they made the trade to bring him in. Another little sidearm. And just great spin on the ball, easy to catch. Nate Burleson can tell you, doesn't matter how hard they throw it. If they throw it with a lot of spin and rotation, receivers can handle it. So there's Mahomes, 24-34, very efficient. And how about that, Sammy Watkins? He's been kind of the lost guy in that group of skill guys out there. Now 8 receptions and 9 targets, over 100 yards. Am I right, Nate? When a guy throws it hard and it's spinning, it doesn't matter.
You're right about that. And what's impressive about Pat Mahomes is in the beginning of the season when plays would break down, he would escape the pocket. And that's what young quarterbacks do, especially the ones that are athletic. But when watching these highlights, every single highlight we've shown so far, he step up in the pocket and he's making a throw, which means he's digesting each game plan for each team but he's reading these defenses quicker. So all of a sudden, now we're halfway through the season, Coach, and his IQ has risen tremendously.
And I think it talked about in the game, and some of Von Miller said these may be the 2 best tackles in the National Football League. We're talking about right now Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz. And you talk about stepping up in there, he has that little pocket perimeter, confidence to step up, and we talked about it before. But on the other side of the ball, D Ford. No Justin Houston, so they needed someone to step up. Well, D Ford has been that guy. You talk about the difference he made today. He had 3 sacks alone, 2 forced fumbles. He's a speed rusher that comes off. I had a speed rusher when I was a defensive coordinator in Kansas City. His name was Derek Thomas.
Wow.
When that noise is going, a speed rusher can get on that corner. He can create havoc as he's done here. They had 5 total sacks again today. Chris Jones has stepped up, and he had his 5th straight game with a sack. And I'm telling you, this defense, they feed off the crowd in that offense right now so they can rush the quarterback. They don't have to worry about defending.
What is it going to take to beat them? What is it going to take, really? You're going to go toe-to-toe with them offensively, right?
Yes.
That's why that November 19th game down in Mexico City is going to be unbelievable. It's going to be must-see TV.
You need 4 great pass rushers to slow them down, I think. You really do. You know, 1 or 2 you can handle, and we've seen it. They've done it twice to this Denver defense. With that first game of the year, they made sure they were not going to let the outside pass rushers disrupt their game, so Andy Reid called the game appropriately. So I don't see how you can slow them down, really, because pass protection, you worry about speed, you worry about deception, and then you worry about the extra that Patrick Mahomes gives you.
You have to find a way to shorten the game or muck it up. Muck it up. Shorten the game, get a running game going, and be patient on defense. You know, don't give up the big plays.
Let me say this, though. Why it's hard to muck it up against Kansas City, because their defense plays all out. It's not like, oh, we're going to bend but don't break. They play all out. So they're going to make you play at their pace, even if you don't want to, because that's the way their defense is going to make you play.
It's a chess match, but I'll tell you, you have to be patient enough to run the football and convert some third downs and use the clock in the first quarter.
It's impressive, man. It is impressive,
We've all done that. It works.
It is impressive.
I'm smiling at how prescient Boomer's remark was earlier when he said at some point we will hear from the young Patrick Mahomes, who was interviewed by our own Steve Tasker, talking about the importance of today's game.
Yeah, it was very important. I mean, they had a lot of momentum coming into the game. That's a really good team, like I said earlier. And you got to win these games in order to get to the playoffs. And so for us, you're not looking ahead, but every week you're trying to get another win and keep stacking on the process.
How soon do you guys start talking about playoffs and seeding and home field advantage? Because if you do get home field advantage, what an advantage Arrowhead is.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be an extreme advantage. And you don't talk about that stuff early. I mean, there's a lot of good teams in this league that are all playing really good football. But we know what's at stake. We know every single game is important. And we're going to come out here and treat every week like that.
Pat, congratulations. We'll see you down the road.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
For there to be so many records hanging in the balance and things that he's going to approach, he has a great mindset, taking it one game at a time. For a young fella with the world in the palm of his hands, I love his approach.
It's impressive.
You know what I love is when he comes to the sideline, I want you to watch it for now. And Andy Reid comes up and sits next to him. How we doing? I really like you.
Hey, really good. When you?
No, but I'm telling you, Andy Reid turns sideways and looks at him like, oh, this is so great.
He's got everything on that plate. He can just call anything. And you know what? Sometimes it doesn't work. You know what? He makes him look good by
Andy Reid has what every coach, and coach, you could attest to this because you finally had Ben Roethlisberger when he finally figured it out. But when you have a guy back there that just makes everybody around him better. And the great thing about it, it's not just Tyreek Hill, it's not just Kareem Hunt, it also is Sammy Watkins and Travis Kelce. So they're all, taking part in it. And I think you're going to have to score 40 points to beat them. That's what it's going to take to beat them.
They're on fire. They got it going. How long can you sustain this heat? It is on fire.
The scariest thing is that he didn't make one big play outside the pocket. And that's one of his weapons.
Right. Let me see that move again. Andy did what now? He does what? When he was on his...
He basically gets up there and goes, oh, I really like it.
That's exactly right.
You watch it from now on.
I'm loving Phil Simms. All right, more to come on the State Farm post-game show here on CBS right after this. Hey, join us on Saturday for double-header SEC college football action. First, the best game from the best conference features a top 25 matchup Georgia and Kentucky at 3:30 Eastern. Then it's primetime showdown as top-ranked and undefeated Alabama takes on 4th-ranked LSU at 8. Coverage kicks off with the drive to Atlanta at 2:30 Eastern. That'll be followed by College Football Today right here on CBS. As we welcome you back inside Studio 43 and the State Farm postgame show, we take you back to the highlights.
Boy, what a game down in Cincinnati. Cincinnati jumped out to a big lead. You can see right here, you see Joe Mixon's going to take this over. From out, he had 2 rushing touchdowns on a day, over 100 yards in the first half alone. But then right here, Jameis Winston's going to get picked off, his 4th pick of the day. It's going to be returned for a touchdown. At that point, right now, he said, you know, enough. Jameis, you've been benched. Comes in Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he's going to find O.J. Howard. You're going to see with less than a minute to go, his 2nd touchdown of the day for the touchdown. Then he's going to hit Chris Goodwin for the 2-point play. And with 1 minute to go, you can see right there the Tampa Bay Bucks. You thought it was Fitzmagic all over again, but just moments ago, Randy Bullock and Andy Dalton marched him right back down to answer that. He hits his 44-yard field goal, and they win the game 37-34. Buccaneers had 576 yards of total offense, but yet it was the 4 picks and 4 turnovers on the day by Jameis Winston that was really the difference in the game, and Joe Mixon as well. Tyler Boyd had over 100 yards receiving in the game. Again, Andy Dalton did what he had to do at the end of the game. He has proven to be a guy at the end of the game that can make things happen.
You know what? This was a huge game for Cincinnati, and the reason because Pittsburgh won and Baltimore lost. So now Cincinnati is in 2nd in the AFC South, right behind Pittsburgh, and then Baltimore now has fallen to 4-4. So that was huge for Cincinnati to come back and win that game.
Thank you for that segue, because in Pittsburgh, they're taking on the Cleveland Browns. Yes, they were. In Ben Roethlisberger, he's going to find Antonio Brown for this play of improvisation. We've seen that before. He's going to take him 43 yards out, and Antonio Brown had 2 touchdowns on the day. But boy, how about James Conner? Talking about Le'Veon Bell coming back next week. James Conner said, I don't want to hear anything about it. He has a 12-yard touchdown run, and then he's going to get a 22-yard touchdown run. James Conner on the day had 212 total yards, 146 on the ground, and I'm telling you what, he was running like a man possessed, and that Pittsburgh offense got it going in the second half, and the defense did as well, as they held Cleveland to 85 total yards in the second half of that game.
You love seeing a good kid take advantage of his opportunities. And after the game, it was our own Evan Washburn talking with James Conner.
James, nearly 150 yards on the ground. What was it about this game that allowed you to be so effective?
The big guys up front. You know, I go as they go. I'm just trying to take advantage of every run like it's my last. You know, the holes were there. I was just running hard.
This had a slow start to it, though, for you guys offensively. How much did you take pride in the fact that it seemed to be your play that really ignited this group and put it away down the stretch?
Man, it's a group effort. You know, just so when it's your turn to make a play, you just got to step up. So, yeah, a little slow start, but we rallied. It's a 4-quarter game, so we played all the way through.
How would you describe your confidence as really the bell cow of this offense moving forward here in an important stretch?
I'm just trying to get better every game. You know, I take it week by week. I try to prepare hard and just come out here and play big.
Lastly, James, you recognize what happened yesterday and what it meant to this city. You played your college ball in this city. As best you can, take us through what the last 24, 36 hours have been like for you and for this organization.
Man, it's just been tragic. Terrible what happened. You know, our hearts are with all those people. You know, it's just the city really took a hit. And, you know, it's a tragedy, but, you know, anyway, we can try to uplift the vibes as little as we can. You know, we're just trying to get a big win for the whole city. This is way bigger than football. You know, the people lost their lives. So we got to take advantage of every moment. You know, we got to live every day like it's your last. And, you know, our hearts are with those.
I appreciate your perspective. Congrats on the win.
Thank you, brother.
You know, there was a former employee of the Pittsburgh Steelers who lost 2 brothers in that tragedy, and our heart and prayers can go out to all the victims and their families. And, you know, it's such a special area. It's really close to the University of Pitt, where James Conner went to school. And, you know, the city of Pittsburgh, I used to always say it's a big little city. You know, the pulse of what you stand for really is evident wherever you go. It's very unified in everything they stand for. They're all. You're a Pittsburgher. You know, when you're there, you're a Yinzer. And you know, I just say that city, you know, power with you people, stay together like you always have. One of the most resilient areas I've ever been around, and we come together in times like this, and we are together. We're all brothers. We're all sisters. We're all family. You're from Pittsburgh. You're a Yinzer, and James Carnell said it, and he echoes the sentiments of all of us. We feel for you.
You know what, Coach, most appropriate coming from you and your Pittsburgh connections and native, of course. And I appreciate you guys allowing me to speak on your behalf at the top of the show today when we talked about how important it was for all of us to recognize the truth of the matter. You know, I'm so grieved by the coarse conversations that take place in the public square when the fact of the matter is we are all one family, one team speaking in the sports vernacular, and I pray that will resonate and change the dynamic around this country. So, fellas, anything else, anything? All right, well, let's go back to the highlights then. All right, Nate?
Let's get to some more highlights. No easy way to segue into it. Baltimore and Carolina. Here's Cam Newton. He's going to make a play to Greg Olsen, who is one of the best tight ends in the red zone. He comes down within Cam Newton's course. He can use his arm, and he can use his legs. He gets in the end zone, and they rolled over the #1 defense. And how about those Carolina Panthers? Cam Newton is getting back into form. We're starting to remind us of that guy who was the league MVP. The Panthers beating up on the Ravens, 36-21.
All right, and Nate, after the game, it was our Melanie Collins who caught up with the aforementioned Cam Newton.
Well, Cam, you knew you would be facing a tough test in the #1 defense in the NFL today, but they didn't seem to have an answer for anything you guys were doing. How were you able to solve the Ravens defense?
Just staying on rhythm. You know, we have good guys on our offense too, playing, within the team. Defense was playing great football. Special teams was playing great football. Offensive was clicking at the same time. Great complementary football led to a great win.
Looked like you had all the time in the world back there today. What can you say about the pass protection from your offensive line today?
Man, those guys have been battling, meshing extremely well, understanding exactly what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it. And it's just a wonder how those guys been playing these last couple of weeks, and I expect them to keep doing it moving forward.
Well, you guys moved to 5-2 on the season, 4-0 on home turf, and as you get set to host the Buccaneers next week, what statement did your team make today?
I don't know if it's a statement. You know, we just want to keep building momentum as the season keep going. As the season, get in the latter part of the games, we know we want to create some type of cushion, not only in this division, but, obviously for just winning games in general.
Cam, thanks for the time. Congrats.
Thank you.
Hey, guys, think where they were last week at the start of the fourth quarter against Philadelphia. They're down 17-0. He plays great. I mean, it's an awesome fourth quarter. Now they have to go against the #1 defense in football, which we know is not easy. Tonight, you have New Orleans on the road at Minnesota. If New Orleans loses that game, they'll be tied with Carolina. Carolina is now 5-2, and the impact I would think that Norv Turner has had on Cam Newton has been palatable as we see it each and every week. He gets better.
Yeah, when they hired Norv Turner, I said, boy, how's this going to work with Cam Newton? Because I didn't know if he could utilize everything. We've never seen Norv Turner have a quarterback like this. Baltimore's never seen a quarterback like Cam. They weren't used to it, and he made some big plays. And let's just watch some of them here, what he did today. What I like what they do, they got an array of different throws, man. And he throws a lot of tough footballs down the field, right into tight coverage. That was a very good one to Greg Olsen. And protection, again, right over the middle. And then Cam Newton on the fake. You always got to be alert for that. Running touchdown for him. But for Norv Turner, what he's done, Coach, you talked about it. His percentage of completions going up, more efficient because they run reverses. They got DJ Moore. They got McCaffrey. They got Curtis Samuel. So they got more weapons, and Olsen more diversified. So Cam Newton has easier throws, and it keeps the defense off guard a little bit. And what we saw. Well, we gave him the jinx on the high vision today. I talked about the Baltimore defense. Yeah. But the offense of the Carolina Panthers is so diverse. That's what makes it so much better.
It's diverse in a weird way that's so different than LA Rams, right? I mean, it's diverse with a lot of things, but you don't see the throws in the 30s and the 40s. It's throws in the 20s. Right. It's different types of runs. It's an unorthodox offense that it's hard to prepare for, and then you get the size and speed of guys like Cam and then Chris Samuel and Christian McCaffrey is a lot faster than you give him credit for. Yes. It's just, I think Norv Turner has done a great job of keeping this thing simple, and he's not making mistakes or taking negative plays.
Well, since Cam has been in the league, he's received high praise for his athleticism and also his arm, but then also criticism for not being as efficient as most people would like. But the stat that says it all, 39 games with a rush TD and a pass TD, and then what he's doing this year, you mentioned it, 21 for 29. He went into this week leading in his completion percentage over his career. So obviously there's something that's clicking this year, and he did it also while leading his team in rushing. So Cam Newton cutting down on the passes thrown and still making plays.
That fourth quarter comeback last last week, though, man. That was perfect.
That was great.
That's exactly what you want.
And they picked up right where they left off.
Yes.
It felt like it came out on the field. It was just like they picked right where they left
great
off.
players like him, you give them a coach, puts them in right positions, they do great things.
They
That's
evolve.
what we're seeing from Cam Newton.
And the State Farm postgame show will continue after this.
Want to stay up to date? Hey Siri, show me football standings.
Just play it.
And you can see right there, Pittsburgh with the win today took over the sole place of, well, they've been in first place with the 4-2-1 record right there. And again, 2-1 in the division in one. And the Cincinnati Bengals with that win today in late Bullock's field goal, and the Ravens lost, puts them in sole possession of second place. And again, you look at that right now, I think Pittsburgh right now, they're playing as well as anything, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, we talk about them on offense. They're always going to have the ability to come back, but I think defensively, they're getting after it. Bud Dupree showed up big today.
Yeah.
TJ Watt, again, their defense is getting after it.
They're Kansas City.
Yeah.
They're almost like the Kansas City.
Yeah, they're
Talk about it.
I mean,
And here's the defense right here. Pittsburgh and Joe Hayden on the sideline going up and reminding us that he still can go out there and play that one-on-one coverage. There's TJ Watt coming in, going high, trying to get the ball off his throne, to getting a sack right there, and then sitting a little bit of pressure, step onto it and going in and getting there, making a big play on Baker Mayfield. But that's just it, trying to have a defense that can complement that offense. And getting back to that offense, how about James Conner? I mean, for a while it was, this is Le'Veon's team, and you know what? Good for him. He's been through a lot, and he's starting to pick things up. But my man is playing at a phenomenal level, and I'm going to say it right now. This is a Pro Bowler right here. He's not sitting here waiting for Le'Veon to get back. When Le'Veon gets back, he's going to have to fight for his position and fight for playing time. Because what he's doing and how he's running, he makes everybody else's job easier. Yep. My guy that's coming in, Juju Smith-Schuster, went into this game, leading to the receptions, in yards, and now Antonio Brown is starting to get going. Big Ben is getting more comfortable. I don't care if they don't get Le'Veon Bell back.
Let me just say this. If Le'Veon Bell was putting up these numbers that James Conner's, we'd all be up here, oh, Le'Veon, you're unbelievable. And you know what he is, too, as Bill was talking about the tragedy in Pittsburgh? He's the emotional leader of the team. He plays emotional. He looks for contact. He makes them tough. It evens out the passing game of Ben Roethlisberger. You need a big, tough runner. He's the guy. I mean, we have not given him the credit he deserves.
And let me swing back over to Bill on your point there, because this kid, James Conner, has overcome so much himself that the fans, the town, can relate to.
Yeah, as you know, he's a cancer survivor right now, and I think it's a great story. But I'll go back. I mean, the way he does run, that's why I would keep Le'Veon Bell, because I think he does run in a very reckless style of manner that you have some depth. But I'll tell you, when we talked about this, Phil, they may have the best offensive line in football.
Oh,
talk about those inside three with DeCastro, Pouncey, and Ramon Foster, and the two tackles. They are healthy right now, and they are playing really, really good up front.
This is a really weird division. Why? Because, well, the Baltimore, I'm doing you. I'm asking myself a rhetorical question. I can't believe I'm doing that.
Thank you.
So anyway, why? I'll answer it. Because Baltimore seems to have Pittsburgh's number. Pittsburgh has Cincinnati's number, and Cincinnati has Baltimore's number.
Right.
It's like the craziest thing ever.
Bermuda Triangle.
Right, it is the Bermuda Triangle. Look, the Bengals' defense is terrible. I don't think they have a defense good enough to go very deep in this division as we move forward. I think Baltimore's defense is for real. They had a bad day today. They're always going to be physical. It's always going to be tough, and we always look forward to the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game. So that will be the game to me that will decide this particular division. I think Baltimore. Look, we're at the halfway point. Baltimore's 500. Right. Pittsburgh's 4-2-1. Right. And you have Cincinnati at 5-2. I mean, like, we have so much more football left to be played, and these two teams will be three teams knocking each other off.
It's kind of interesting today. Watch Pittsburgh play the Cleveland Browns, and the Browns were emotional and really on top of it early. But then you just saw the old, proven veterans just wear them down. They got so many guys that have been through so many wars. When you talk about the Steelers, that's why it's hard to pick against them. And there's the Cleveland Browns. They want to be that team, but they're not there yet. And, even Baker Mayfield, you could almost see that, oh, man, it's a grind. this league is tough, and it beats you up, and he's kind of finding it out now.
That stream of consciousness was awfully good in referencing the contagious Phil Simms.
Yes.
But you're up for score number 1, Eagles and Jacksonville.
All right, this took place over in London earlier today. The Jacksonville Jaguars are spiraling out of control, guys. Carson Wentz finding his game. He had 3 touchdown passes on the day. Look at the arm strength. I mean, just look at the ability on the field to move and just fling howitzers is what he's doing. And right there to Zach Ertz, one of the best tight ends in football. So Philadelphia gets back to 500. That's important because Washington did beat the Giants today. Washington's at 5-2. The Jaguars losing to 3-5.
Well, here we go. Let's get the Washington Redskins at the New York Giants. Alex Smith passes to Adrian Peterson. He scores on a 7-yard run after the catch. 7-0 Washington. Eli Manning's pass is intercepted by DJ Swearinger. Swearinger's second pick of the game. Just threw it up. Then, to top it off, how about the old fella? Adrian Peterson runs on a 64-yard jaunt and outruns the Giant defense.
Mountain of youth.
You don't look that all right there.
Hey, he gives them toughness, and there's no doubt, and a personality that they didn't have. And the Washington Redskins win 20-13, and really just another bad performance by the Giants offense.
And let me just pay off that Washington victory. That was their 3rd straight win, and the defense played extremely well. 7 sacks, forced 2 turnovers. Big win for Washington, who you commented before you liked the job that Jay Gruden is doing there.
You know, they don't have a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball, particularly at the wide receiver position right now. Jamison Crowder hasn't played the last couple of weeks, but, you know, they just don't beat themselves. You know, they're very physical up front on both sides of the ball. And I think that's the one thing with the Washington Redskins you're going to have to go. You go up against them defensively and offensive. Those offensive lines, they're big and they're physical. And, and they kind of have that approach to you. And the games are going to be in the 20s. They're going to muck it up. You know what? But Alex Smith will not turn it over. So if you can muck it up and not turn it over, it's not a bad thing.
No, is there a more disappointing team right now than Jacksonville Jaguars? Right? We all thought they were going to be a playoff team, maybe a Super Bowl team this year, especially coming off of their impressive year last year. Now, they lose, obviously today in London. They're going to have a bye week. And then they come back and they have to play the Colts at the Colts, then the Steelers on a Sunday night game at home, and then at the Bills, and then the Colts again, and then the Titans. So if they're going to save their season, it's going to be over these next 5 weeks. And I don't know what's going on in that locker room. I don't know why guys decided to go out, you know, in the middle of the night out in London and get in a brawl and fight over a bill that they didn't pay or they thought they were going to be comped or whatever it is. The fact of the matter is this team is off the rails right now, and I don't know what they can do to get themselves back on except to win the next one.
You know why we thought that it was the sure thing? Because of how the team was built. We're going to run the ball, and we thought their defense was great. And usually that doesn't fail you like it has. Their running game, of course, fell apart, and I am still sit back and watch them every week, and I can't believe their defense is playing the way it is.
Yeah, we looked at how this team was built last season. I don't think we necessarily were drinking all of the Gatorade, as you could say, and feeling like these guys were going to win a championship. But what they started to do is they started to drink their own juice a little bit, and they were talking as if they won a Super Bowl.
There's only one guy talking.
Yeah, there was a certain air they had with their chest out, and I don't find anything wrong with that. If you have a little swagger, a little bravado about you, I'm good with that. But still, you go into this season, and you don't have any of that. It seemed like all the sauce is gone, and this defense that was supposed to be the one that reminds us some of the best defenses in NFL history is falling apart. They're not getting the same type of pressure on quarterbacks, and all of a sudden, quarterbacks aren't afraid to attack this umbrella of this defense, and the offense is just inept. And I don't want to hear that Leonard Fournette isn't there, because if you're a starting quarterback in this league, they signed you an extension in Blake Bortles, you got T.J. Yeldon, you got some playmakers around you. You cannot go out there and have an offense that is this inefficient.
You know, when they started the season, I said, do you see something I don't? And we both all sat here last year and said, this is a championship team that lacks a quarterback, because the consistency at that position was just not there. They came into it with the same group without an insurance policy for Blake Bortles. You have a window of time. This is a very good team, and it doesn't last long.
Yeah.
I wish they would have got an insurance policy. I still go out there right now and just say, if I'm them, I'm calling right now Cleveland and say, Tyrod Taylor, come on down, because they need someone that can give them some consistency.
Calling New Orleans, maybe Teddy Bridgewater.
And I know it.
Well, they got their insurance. They're not giving him up.
But I do think there's a little bit of an identity crisis, because you're right. We talked about Fournette. they have gotten away from that. They really haven't gotten away from it. He gets hurt. Now they got Carlos Hyde, and T.J. Yeldon is not really that power runner, so they figured they would try to use him more in the passing game. And I started to dwarf into this passing team, and that's not who they are. It trickles down into the defense as well, because now all of a sudden they're on the field more, longer, and they're not as fresh and as efficient.
You bring up something that we talked about this week. Boomer and I were talking about it. But if you got a team that's playoff worthy, and Jacksonville thought they were not only playoff but Super Bowl, and you don't buy insurance on all that you have, you don't have a backup quarterback. I mean, that's what did New Orleans do? They did it. They went, and what else have they done? Oh, they went and got Eli Apple because they know they might need some extra DBs as this time goes on. So they've been buying insurance. Jacksonville didn't do it. And, you know, Blake Bortles played good today.
I know.
But still, there's been a lot of shaky games where they could have won if he'd have played well.
Right now, let's turn to the daddy to get an update.
Yes, that would be me. How about the Green Bay Packers? 1 yard out. That's Jamal Williams. He's going to take it in. And let's see if the Rams can play from behind, boys. 7-0 Green Bay Packers up on the L.A. Rams, the undefeated L.A. Rams, that is.
Where is that vaunted?
3 of 6, 7 yards passing.
Wow. You, Nate, are like the Concorde. You're still flying smoothly, having come back after 98,000 hours of work.
That's what it's about, baby.
State Farm postgame show continues after this.
This is the State Farm postgame show.
And welcome back to the State Farm postgame show. And a reminder, as we welcome you back, the State Farm postgame show next Sunday. Our Super Bowl season continues with regional action in Week 9. Many will see a big AFC North Division showdown between the Steelers and the Ravens, or a West Coast clash between the LA Chargers and the Seahawks. And it all begins with the NFL Today at noon Eastern right here on CBS. I'm smiling because here I said that Nate's come back and he's smooth. I'm reading the same promo twice here. I'm like, my gosh. Anyway, that's the way it is. With that in mind, let's take you upstairs and get an update from our NFL Today insider, Jason La Canfora, in the newsroom. Jason?
JB, Coach mentioned Tyrod Taylor. He's definitely available, as is Nick Foles. The Jags have told teams they're not trading for a quarterback, but maybe that changes by Tuesday. And keep an eye on the Oakland Raiders. They're losing right now. Tough season there. They're not done making trades. Carl Joseph, Garyon Conley, 2 of their recent first-round picks, both the subject of trade talks. And the Eagles lost Lane Johnson to an injury. They've had offensive line issues. I hear they expect to call about Kelechi Osemele, a highly paid offensive lineman. He can start at every position other than center. So more action to come, JB.
Hey, Jason, thank you so much. And here I have the nerve to go tease you. Why don't you go ahead and take this, man?
Hey, I got you, man. Thanks for giving me that assist right there. State Farm postgame show will continue right after this. Don't you go anywhere.
You did that so well.
Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes and the whistleblower who uncovered a bishop's secret archive. That'll be followed by new episodes of God Friended Me, NCIS Los Angeles, and Madam Secretary. That's all tonight only on CBS as we go back to the highlights.
Here we go. Jets at Chicago. Bears, Mitchell Trubisky throws screen pass to Tariq Cohen. And what do you think he does with it? He takes off untouched.
He's fast.
Good block. Hey, I hear he is.
He is fast,
Bill. Nobody can catch this man. 70-yard touchdown. 7-0 Chicago at that time. And Trubisky again throws the back of the end zone, finds Anthony Miller. That was a back shoulder out throw. That was awesome. 14-3. And the Bears end up winning 24-10. Trubisky very sharp today. I think we saw the throw, power throws, and we saw that he's really mobile and running the football well.
Yeah, here we go. We got the Burleson Bowl, Seattle Seahawks, Detroit Lions, my 2 former teams, and there's Pete Carroll and the team wearing the Paul Gardner Allen PGA, rest in peace, passed away earlier, Paul Allen. But there it is, back in the end zone right there, hitting Ed Dixon on the 12-yard TD. Seattle will go 21-7 at that point, and they're going to run the ball as well. Chris Carson had himself a day. That's a 7-yard TD right there. And how about those Seahawks? They rolled over the Detroit Lions 28-14. Paul Allen smiling down, proud of that operating system. How about those Seattle Seahawks getting right back in it?
You know, I think about the Seattle Seahawks. They're 4-3, and 5 of those 7 games have been on the road. So the back half of their schedule is home, and they've kind of changed this philosophy. They are running the football. Russell Wilson throwing it about 20 to 25 times a game, and their whole identity is different from a year ago. And I'll tell you what, the offensive line is better. It helps the defense. Love what Pete Carroll is doing out there.
Not only changing the identity, but you talked about changing a lot more there as well, and it's getting done.
It is getting done. It is getting done out there, but I will say, for the Detroit Lions, that's a bad loss at home. that's a game that, these teams are pretty even.
Yeah.
They trade for Snacks Harrison. They want to improve their run defense. You would think there'd be a little bit of a shot of adrenaline for that football team. And they the fact that they lose games like this at home is the thing that keeps them out of the playoffs.
Well, they're still not ready. They're not powerful enough yet. Watching the game, it looked like Seattle was just at a different level physical-wise, and it is. Pete Carroll changed a ton of players, a lot of new coaches, and look at what they're doing. Really a good plan.
All right. Hey, folks, thank you for tuning in today. We'll see you again next week right here on the NFL Today.